Hopefully this is going to be fun, a good way to begin the day. First of all, I want to take you to my local shop. It actually doesn't look anything like this. It's pretty dark inside because the windows are small and they are covered with shelves and products. And if you open the door, you step in, there's like a squarish space where you can stand in queue. And several weeks ago, I went there with my wife. She was supposed to do some last-minute shopping, leaving for the weekend. And we step in, and there's a crowd of people inside. This never happens at my local shop, because normally when you go in, it's like one or two people, sometimes no one is there in the queue. But this time, it's like plenty of people. I'm like, okay, something is going on over here. And it turned out that several of those people were actually the older folks who were waiting there for a food delivery from a local bakery. And for those of you that come from countries where real bread exists, you know, like the one with the crunchy crust, the soft dough inside, coming straight from the bakery, maybe still warm, you will appreciate this and what they are doing. Some of you will actually come from places where bread looks like this. This is not bread. Don't call this bread, okay? If you think this is bread, you're a bad person. That's what I want to say. Anyway, those old folks in the queue, they have been waiting there for at least 10 minutes, because this is how much time my wife has spent in the shop, and they have already been there when we stepped in. So, you know, I don't know, I expect like at least 20 minutes. So my thought was that when the bakery finally delivered the goods, people will be a little bit annoyed that it came late. But it's actually the opposite, because when the baker came in, the old lady was like, "Oh, you're early today. How great!" You know, so apparently daily bread delivery in my local shop is like a release of a new iPhone for old people. I don't know, I will never understand them. But I'm talking about this because I want you to imagine a little bit of a mental exercise that this shop is actually selling reports instead of whatever it's selling everything. And when you think about the types of customers that this shop now has to serve, I divided them into three groups. First group is like, these customers, everybody loves them. The guy steps in and the clerk at the register is like, "The usual, sir. Yes, please. Oh, thank you. My daily who does what report. See you tomorrow." You know, everybody loves this guy because he's such an easy customer to serve. The second group is a little bit more demanding, but still pretty okay, because they may have some special needs maybe, but at the same time, it's quite easy to get. So this might look something like, "Hello, can I have a monthly cost report for the last 6 months, please? But I would like to have it in yen and divided by a department, if that's not a big deal." "Sure, no problem, sir. Would you like some forecast with it until the end of the fiscal year, perhaps?" "Is it any good?" It's absolutely fantastic. I showed it to the board last time. They were ecstatic. Went a little bit south later when they realized it doesn't really match the reality, but they get used to it. Don't worry. I'll take it, right? So these guys are cool as well. But the third group that is, am I covering it? Probably not. The third group that you can see over here, these guys are a pain in the butt, because they will come and they will be like, "I'll take the pie chart, but I need custom colors on it." Or they will say, "This bar chart, I like this one. Can you make it with triangles?" Right? Or they will ask you for a milestone report, for example, and you give them the milestone report, but they'll be like, "These milestones, they are one under another. There has to be one next to another." And you explain to them that it's much more difficult to do. I mean, it will take a while, and instead of, you know, having some patience to wait for what you deliver, they will be like, "Okay, wait a moment, I'll come back." And they go to the CEO and they ask him to buy the Power BI, okay? And you're just sitting there waiting, reloading your shotgun, coming for the guy to come back. So even though some of those customers might be difficult, we still have to be able to serve all of them, right? So great reporting tools are actually able to do that. And when Boubyan Bank approached us and they asked us to help them on their PPM journey, which is portfolio/project management, reporting is always a big part of it, right? And they had already a predefined set of reports that they wanted to move now to a new environment. So obviously, our first choice is like, okay, let's check if it's doable with eazyBI. And that's basically what we did with the help of the eazyBI support team, which is absolutely awesome. And I want to take this opportunity to give the round of applause to them as well. If you think the support team of eazyBI is awesome, join me. Yeah, let's go. All right. So that was a fairly easy journey when it comes to what's been happening. Let's come back to my wife, though. So my wife has been working in a bank for several years, and she's been working in the department of financial analysis. And this job was an experience for her, so to say. Raise your hand if you hate your job. All right, so just as expected, most of you are like my wife. You don't realize it yet, or you're too shy to admit. All right, I'm joking. You probably all love your jobs. But she actually hated her job. And one of the reasons she hated the job was because from time to time, a director or someone she basically cannot say no to approached her and was like, I need this report for the next day for the board meeting, and she's looking at the report and she knows at that moment that it's not doable in 1 hour or 2 hours, and she's now staying overtime. She will have to work into the evening or into the night. The guy is just happily walking away, job well done. She's sitting there thinking, I hope your falls off. Okay, she doesn't think like that. She's very kind, but I probably would. And the point that I'm trying to make over here is, how did that get here? The point I'm trying to make is that timely delivery matters. And it matters from the perspective of the people that deliver those reports. So be kind to those souls, tell them early enough that they need to prepare it. But it actually also matters a lot more from the perspective, of course, of the people that need to get the data on time. And some people will be like these old folks at my local shop. They will be fine if it's a little bit late, but some people will lose their minds. And sometimes there are also situations that demand the delivery of the data on time, because otherwise things can go south. So reports have to be a little bit like wizards, I think. They just simply have to arrive when they are needed. Not exactly when they mean to, but when they are needed. And how does eazyBI support timely delivery of data? Well, it allows you to synchronize your data in real time, or you can synchronize the data based on your customers' needs, or even better, you can schedule the delivery of your reports to proper people at the proper time, make it recurring. Anyone wants to challenge this slide? Well, it actually doesn't do the updates in real time, right? So that's the minor thing that eazyBI doesn't do, but compared to all the other things that it does, I think we can overlook this. Now, let me tell you something that is not about my wife. I'll tell you a little bit about bad reporting, which can end in disasters, and I'll have 3 corporate examples for you, and I kind of divided them into 3 categories, so I'll give you an example for each of these categories. The first one is error reporting. And here we will go to another bank, which is called Wells Fargo, and they have been, like any bank would, calculating credit scores for the customers, and actually they had an error in a formula, which resulted in, when people were coming to the bank asking for a loan, they were either being rejected or they were getting higher interest rates. Not great. So when it came out to light what happened, of course people were furious, and even though the error was probably unintentional, the bank still suffered severe consequences because, of course, the people sued it out of them. They lost reputation for several years. They had to fix the system, obviously, right? So things went south pretty fast just because of a simple error, right? So what we want to make sure of is that those errors we avoid as much as possible. Second category is a lot worse. I called it lying piece of category reporting. And the example I have for you over here is something that you will probably all recognize, 2015 Dieselgate. So for those of you that don't know what happened, basically Volkswagen, and I think several other manufacturers as well, cheated the reports of CO2 emissions by installing the malicious software that basically switched the engine to a different mode when it was being tested, but when it was actually being driven by people, the CO2 emissions were going up to, I think, 40 times the allowed legal limit, which is outrageous. So obviously, this was done on purpose, this was done maliciously, it was evil, I think, and rightfully so, the company lost like 30 billion euro in the process. Some people went to jail for it. So, obviously you're all fantastic people. You would never do anything like that. But I think it's worth to keep your eyes open and watch out for this. And I didn't mean to do that because the last example is from 1986, I believe, the Challenger space shuttle launch. So imagine that we are in the Kennedy Space Center. The temperature is a little bit below zero, and there are people responsible for the go, no-go decision, figuring out whether we want to launch the shuttle or not. And they have been looking at the report that has been done several weeks earlier, and the report was basically saying that the rings that are on the rocket boosters responsible for preventing the leakages of the fuel and the gases, those rings, the report said that they may fail at lower temperatures, but the report wasn't specific enough, the evidence wasn't conclusive enough, and the people under a huge amount of pressure, of course, because the delay would mean loss of reputation, loss of huge amounts of money as well. They eventually decided to proceed with the launch of the rocket. And for those of you that remember the history, unfortunately, the shuttle exploded 73 seconds after launch, and the whole crew died. So, how did I get from my local shop to 7 people being killed is a little bit beyond me, but the point I'm trying to make over here is that you should prioritize accuracy and clarity so that the information that people are getting from those reports are reliable and understandable, because otherwise you're in trouble. And so now let's come back to the title of the presentation. And yeah, you've been probably wondering when I'm going to do that. So here we are. How does Boubyan Bank save 100+ hours every month with working with eazyBI? Well, first of all, it automates the process. So all the manual reporting that they have been doing, the Excels, the PowerPoints, now it's gone, and all the reports are in eazyBI, fully automated. And you're probably think, okay, Tom, you've been talking about this for like 12 minutes, and like you seriously think that we didn't know that? So, okay, the title is a bit of a clickbait. But I know that the first point is like everybody knows it here, but let's focus on the rest, because the second element, delivery of the reports on time and to the proper audience, is something that sometimes you don't think about very hard. There is a difference between a report and the report. There is a difference between creating a report that proper people get access to and creating a report that nobody gets to see because nobody is informed about its existence. And obviously when you create a report, someone asks for this report most of the time, so you deliver it to that person. But maybe it's worth thinking who else would benefit from seeing this report. The third point, I'll move aside a little bit, is actually even more important, I believe, because if you make the reports quick to read, clear, precise, and actionable, people will be able to get some important tips, some important insights from those reports. And if the reports are good, those insights will actually drive the cost savings in your company, the new ideas in your company. This is where the gold mine is hidden. It's easy to calculate the hours that we save on automating. This is something that everybody can do. It's super hard to quantify this, so almost no one does it, because it's almost impossible in most of the cases. But if you think about it, this is where the true power of good reporting lies. And this is where I want to draw your attention to. All right, so let's actually take a look at few reports from the Boubyan Bank instance. I have their consent to show some of those. Some of the data will be blurred, like always, but I think it's okay. And what you will notice is that those reports are extremely simple, but I will try to explain why this simplicity is actually powerful. So this one, it's just projects divided by status. As simple as it gets. But it helps you control work in progress. It helps you spot bottlenecks. You look at it and you're like, okay, we have 13 projects under execution. We normally run about 20 projects. What's going on over here? Maybe some of those projects are simply bigger and that's it. But maybe we now are spending more time working on operational activities, which we don't want. We want people to be working on our projects, right? So you dig deeper and you find the answers. The second report, absolutely love it as well. It's brilliant, I think. This one helps them control the planning process, the quality of the planning process. So when you're doing the planning, you don't want the plan of the project to change too much later on, because you're accepting some amount of money, and if the project later on is changing, being delayed, this amount of money, the cost of the project is basically growing. It can double, it can triple. So it's not what you sign up for as a person who approved this. And this report is allowing them to spot those changes weekly, monthly, and of course, there will be always some changes to the plan. So if the number of changes is like normal, they are fine with it. But if the number of changes is abnormal for a certain, let's say, department, they will go there and they will check why the plans are being changed so much. Are you bad at planning? Can we help you out? What's going on over here? Let's fix this, right? So absolutely brilliant, I believe. The next one is something that I like a lot as well, because first of all, this one at a glance is already showing you what's going on in the last month. Just a simple arrow, and you immediately know whether it's worth your attention or not. Then you go over here, and you're like, okay, based on the health of our project phases, how does it look like? And again, you have those simple arrows with colors. And if something sparks your concerns over here, you go over here and you have the same report, but now with numbers. So you can check, okay, where are the arrows coming from? Is it bad? Is it good? Should I react to it? And again, if you need to, you will go deeper. So simple reports, but very powerful in my opinion. And I'll leave you for a moment with this. Because that's the true message. And I believe that actually both of those elements at the bottom are super important, not just one of them. So, one last report that I wanted to share over here, not because it's brilliant, but because, so in the process that we are going through with Boubyan Bank, we introduced a tool called Big Picture. For those of you that don't know, Big Picture is a tool for advanced project and portfolio management in Jira. It's pretty robust, and it has its own Gantt module, and the Gantt module in Big Picture is way more sophisticated than this. So why would we show this over here? Well, because if it's possible, it's worth having all the reports in the same place. So that we are not telling people, if you need this, go here, if you need that, go here. If it's all in the same place, it's easier to digest. So if they are mostly interested in what's the progress of my project and what's the status of my project, bam, easy. And they have it in one place. If they're interested in digging more, they will go to Big Picture and they will check it out, right? So I think it's pretty brilliant. If you're interested in some additional reports that they have, I've created a list of the most interesting ones, I believe. This is not like the complete list of what they are doing, but you can get some inspiration from it. But here's a warning. If you're looking for inspiration, just like by looking what other people are doing in terms of reporting, you're doing it wrong. Because reports are not like clothes. You don't see someone wearing clothes and you're like, oh, that would good look on me, so you buy the same thing. Reports don't work like that. If you, the reports should be driven by your organizational goals and challenges. So if you're not doing that, it means that you're not thinking enough about what's currently driving your business and what's going to drive your business in the nearest future. And if you think long and hard about those two things, you will come up with the list of reports that will suit your exact needs. And hopefully, this list of reports will be, paraphrasing Simba from Lion King, simple yet satisfying. Does it count as having a cat in the presentation? Yes! All right. Thank you very much.